Oh, excuse me, that was me, sorry.
I'm Eric Baker, and I've lived in Tennessee my entire life. However, for the last decade, touring the world, I've only seen it passing by from a windshield. But finally, Tennessee is calling me back where I belong. There's a place you've never been. It's right where you want to be. I want to rediscover how great my home state is, and I want you to come with me. Uncharted. On this episode of Tennessee Uncharted, we're moving and shaking our way up to Reelfoot Lake. Located in the northwest corner of Tennessee, Reelfoot is the only large natural lake in the state. With its shallow water, full of majestic cypress trees rising high above and submerged cypress stumps down below, the ecosystem here is unlike any other place in Tennessee. In fact, it's technically considered a flooded forest, because the lake that we now know wasn't actually formed until the ground in this region literally dropped during the New Madrid earthquakes of 1811 and 1812. With shock waves felt as far away as Quebec, these earthquakes created several major landform changes in this area, along with huge waves in the Mississippi River that were so massive they made it appear to flow backwards for a short period of time. As a result, water from these waves began spilling out into the newly lowered land, creating Reelfoot Lake. This is an area I'm actually very familiar with. When I was growing up, my family and I did a lot of camping up here in the old motel on wheels. It was 27 feet of orange and brown polyester curtains, shag carpet, peeling wallpaper, and wood veneer. The roof was a patchwork of blue tarp and duct tape. The air conditioner rarely worked, and the pipes often froze. But boy, did we have some good times in that old thing. Most people called it a travel trailer, but to us it was known by only one name, the Frolic. Reelfoot Lake was where we came to get away from the world and get back to being a family. It was skip-bo and Uno games on an old picnic table, s'mores and hot dogs cooked on old wire hangers, the smell of campfire smoke on your clothes and pillows that you hoped would never wash out. All in all, just the simple, quiet memories of a family having fun together. Sadly, it's been years since I was here last, but now returning with a young family of my own, I can see just how important those family trips really were, and still are. On this episode, I'm here to rediscover that quiet beauty, because even though the water here at Reelfoot is shallow, this lake and the surrounding land is full of stories and lessons we can all learn from. This is a lake that I, as a kid, would come and visit, but now as I've come back as an adult, I realize that I just barely scratched the surface as far as knowing the history of this place and, I mean, just how far it dates back.
Well, it does have a very interesting history. It was created by the earthquakes of 1811 and 12, but actually there's always been a body of water of some form or another in this area, and people have lived in this area for thousands and thousands of years before the lake was created. We're on the floodplain of the Mississippi River here.
Okay.
Prior to the levees being constructed, this area would have flooded at least once, if not 2 or 3 times each year. The unique thing about the Mississippi River Valley is because you have annual floods and they're depositing silt onto the floodplain, you're essentially farming new soil each year. As corn made its way up into the central Mississippi River Valley, eventually became a dietary staple, populations tended to migrate to the Mississippi River Valley, and the other interior waterways in West Tennessee, for the most part, became abandoned, and people kind of nucleated into the...
People were flooding here.
People were flooding into the Mississippi River Valley
right,
in order to grow corn.
Who are we talking about that are in this area?
Well, we're talking about people that were here thousands of years before Europeans discovered America and began recording the names of native peoples that were living here. These people did not have a written language. I'm sure they called themselves something, but they were not the Chickasaws, the Cherokees, the Choctaws, the historic tribes that we
didn't
are
start till
familiar
later.
with.
Okay.
People have been here a long time, and they have a very rich cultural history. And I think it's important that we all understand that. But I think it's also important to understand that Native Americans are not fossils. They're not something that we can simply look at in a museum or look at the tools that they made in a museum. Contemporary Native Americans are living people. They have a long history, and it's a history that deserves to be told. It's a history that I think all of us should be educated about.
We've walked up on what looks like a hill to me, but it's way more than a hill. So tell me about what we're looking at.
Well, it's actually not a natural landform at all. It is actually an Indian mound that was built at least 1,000 years ago or so. And it is probably a burial mound. We're up on top of a large bluff overlooking Reelfoot Lake. And there was a large village at the base of the bluffs below us that was occupied about 1,000 years ago to 800 years ago. And there were burial mounds scattered along the edge of this bluff. So we're looking at one of those burial mounds. Out of respect to contemporary Native Americans, we don't excavate burial mounds anymore. But if we were able to look inside that mound, probably what we would find is at the very base of the mound, which would be the original ground surface, we would probably find the burned remains of a structure, and within that you would find the human remains that had been stored as skeletons within that structure. This is actually a mound that was part of a group of 7 mounds that were originally arranged around a central plaza. 5 of the mounds were excavated in the 1890s by what became the Smithsonian Institution, and the artifacts from those mounds are at the Smithsonian today. There are 2 mounds that are still here. They were probably located at opposite ends of a plaza, which is an open area where games were played. This would have been a flat-top mound with steep sides and would have had a building on top of it.
You're a storyteller in a way, you know, and as is a mound just like this.
It's a bump on the landscape unless you understand the people that created it. It's a means to understand the people that lived here before us.
And then learning from it. And that's,
and
I mean,
learning
the
from it.
time with you, Bill, I've learned a ton in an area that I thought I knew something about.
Well, I love that I'm able to share the story with you today. It's a story that I love to educate people on, and something that I've essentially devoted my life to.
As a kid growing up in this area, I have a lot of great memories of visiting Reelfoot Lake. Looking back now, I can see that a lot more goes into making this area special than I originally realized. And after our trip back in time with Bill, I now know that I still have a lot more to discover. So I've made my way to a nearby attraction that not only provides ample opportunity for discovery, but does it with a childlike curiosity. One of the greatest joys of being a parent is being able to see the world through a fresh pair of eyes. Over the last 5 years, my daughter Annabelle has shown me so many simple joys in my life that I was simply overlooking. She has truly helped open my eyes to the world around me. So I figured what better place to bring Annabelle to explore and share a learning experience than Discovery Park of America. We are literally in the middle of a cornfield, as you said. And as we pulled up, it's like, what is that in the distance? And it's Discovery Park of America, which is where we are, and I am blown away. Tell me, I guess, first how this place came to be.
Robert and Jenny Kirkland, they are from Union City, and they wanted to give back to the community. They both have a foundation. It's the Robert and Jenny Foundation, and so they wanted to do something to give back, and so they decided to build Discovery Park.
What all are we educating people on?
Well, Mr. Kirkland and everyone who works here will tell you that whether you're a 4-year-old or a 94-year-old, no matter your age, everyone who comes will learn something.
What are people going to see when they come to Discovery Park?
When they come to Discovery Park, we've got 100,000 square feet inside, 3 different levels. We've got 9 different galleries inside. We've also got 50 acres outside to explore and to learn and to be educated. Right here, we've got the Regional History Gallery, learning about Reelfoot and how that was formed and everything. Then it just goes to the Native American Gallery, it goes to a military gallery, it goes to transportation. You've got your natural history gallery with the dinosaur bones and learning about all of that. And then you've got your science and technology. You'll find something that interests you here.
We have been called a mini Smithsonian before.
Wow.
We really like that term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Kirkland actually didn't want us to be called a museum because he said museums are stuffy, and we are not stuffy. There's just a lot of hands-on. You can touch almost anything. Now, there are some things you can't touch.
Right, totally. But the way to learn is to get your hands dirty sometimes,
Yes.
and get your
Yes.
hands on it.
That was me, sorry.
We also have the earthquake simulator.
Really?
Yes.
All right, now tell me about that.
Well, it's a simulation of the 1811, 1812 earthquakes that actually formed Reelfoot Lake. I've never experienced an earthquake, and a lot of people haven't, and so you actually get to experience it. When there's an earthquake on the screen, there's going to be an earthquake on the floor. It's
shaking
yeah.
with you and
Yes,
everything.
shaking, yes.
Okay, all
Yes,
right.
it's very educational and very fun.
Yeah.
With it being Discovery Park of America, and I mean, you're talking about that it's national level of exhibits. Why is highlighting Little Reelfoot Lake, why is that important?
Reelfoot Lake is actually 23 miles away from Discovery Park of America. So if you come here for a day trip, and if you want to go to Reelfoot Lake for the night and then wake up the next morning, you'll be right there at Reelfoot, and you can say, hey, I just experienced the earthquake that formed this lake. And so
Right.
you've got that history, you've got that learning experience that you got from Discovery Park that you now can take to Reelfoot Lake.
Not only dinosaurs and
Right.
Ice Age mammoths, but also the area that
Right.
surrounds you and the history of.
Of Union City and this area.
Maybe we can check out the earthquake simulator and.
Yeah, Annabelle would love it.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Annabelle, come here, sweet Pete. Come here. All right. While the Reelfoot Lake area is often known as a sportsman's playground for all of the duck hunting and angling that it offers, as we've already learned this season, true wildlife well-being is accomplished through balance. So today I'm checking in with TWRA to get a closer look at how they manage and monitor hunts of the four-legged variety. As parents, we teach our kids based on the experience and wisdom we've gained from our victories as well as our mistakes. We do our best to collect as much data to improve upon the past in hopes of providing a better future. And surprisingly, TWRA approaches managing wildlife in much the same way. All of this is for managing the herd, ultimately.
Yes.
What all are we checking for, just so we can kind of go over the whole process?
We're checking for the disease, make sure they haven't been acceptable to any diseases.
Okay.
We're looking at the age of the deer that are harvested.
Okay.
So we know our age structure that's being harvested out there. And then we're also, the main thing is we're doing, you know, if it was an antler deer, if it was a buck, we're gonna take circumference, main beam length, outside spread. Hopefully we'll get a deer here in a little bit, we can do that on.
Okay.
And then also on, like I said, open day muzzle loader, and open that rifle, we're gonna pull the lymph nodes out of the deer, and we're gonna take them, and after the season, or during the season, we'll send them off to disease study and get them to check, make sure we haven't been exposed to CWD, which is chronic wasting disease.
Okay.
So that's what we're
collecting
fixing
a
to do
lot
right
of
here.
data here.
Yes, sir. And then what the main thing we'll do is we're gonna look for the age of the teeth here. I tell you, we can take that.
Okay.
And just make an incision right up through there. All right, that ought to be good there. What we'll do is we'll open it up. So it's done, the rigor mortis is done set in, so we'll take that. What we call a jaw jack. It opens it up.
Okay. So you said start, is this
Right, you'll go to the
tooth
first
one?
tooth. You're right. First
One,
tooth, second tooth, third tooth. All right, so is it bicuspid or tricuspid?
Does it start here?
Yeah, starts right there.
That would be a bicuspid?
Right, so
Okay.
now what we go, we know it's at least a 1.5 year old deer.
Okay.
So what we want to do
Is now go to the very back.
So you look there at that back tooth back there and
Okay.
see the wear on it.
So it looks kind of pointy to me.
Well, it's actually a little rounded. If it's pointed, I mean, it'll be really, really jagged. Also, if you look from this angle, and look how flat that is right there across that plateau,
Yeah.
I would age that at 4.5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, just by looking at the tooth. Because you start seeing the dentine right here in the enamel. It's about kind of 50-50.
So all in all, though, this is healthy, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we're looking at a
healthy deer. I mean, real healthy deer. Got plenty of fat on her
Yeah.
in there.
I just aged my first deer. This is pretty awesome. So what else are we looking at here?
What we're gonna do, we're gonna pull the lymph nodes out of it.
I'll hold her down.
All right, I don't want to get up.
Don't you run off! Get off there. We having dinner at your house?
We sure can.
So what all do you learn from the lymph nodes?
Well, when we send them off, they'll be able to find out if they've been exposed to the CWD or not.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
it's just a confirmed or non-confirmed or whatever.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking at. And so far, we've been doing this, I think, with CW sampling since 2002. And so far, we haven't had one come back positive for it. And that's one of the reasons why the agency standpoint is so strong against these breeding facilities or these enclosed pens that people want to bring deer in from other states and bring them in, is because once you start moving deer like that, it's real easy to move that disease with them too.
Okay.
And if you have an outbreak of it, it's rough. It's really rough, and it could affect the health of the wild, the free-ranging herd that we have.
And what are the signs? Are there visible signs?
They'll stagger around. They'll kind of basically starve themselves. They won't eat. So weight loss is a big thing. I've seen it in pens before with a deer that's exposed to it. They'll just constantly go in a circle around the fence. They won't ever lay down. They'll just keep walking around. You know, their head will be swaying back and forth. So it's a neurological deal there.
Okay. How's this deer looking so far?
Looks good. Looks real good. Circumference is going to be 3.0. Hold that right there. Main beam length is 16.8.
And so all this data is telling you about the herd
it's
and
telling about
the health
of the herd, yes.
Okay.
Because when the bucks come in, what we're doing is we're taking outside spread of the antlers. We're taking the main beam length of one side of the antler, and then we're taking the circumference. So all of that data of the antlers compared with the age data will help us, determine the health of the herd.
I mean, this is a success story. I mean,
Yeah.
all of the data that you're collecting, it is, I guess, changed the way you manage from year to year.
does.
How you and I
It
mean,
does. It's something we look at and take into consideration every year when we're doing season settings and things like that.
I've learned a lot today. I mean,
Well, good.
I
I hope
now
you have.
know. I mean, I'm like, hey, you want me to age that deer? I mean, I really feel like I can do it.
Feel like you can get in and do it.
Yeah, man.
Good thing.
Hopefully, next time you see me, we'll be aging a big buck that I
There we
brought
go.
in to see it.
That'll work. Come see us.
All right, thanks,
All right,
man.
thanks.
Thank you. For me, when the chill of fall hunting season starts to set in, I always look forward to getting outside. But when you've got a hometown staple like Boyetts in your backyard, you've also got quite a meal to look forward to when you get back in. And as a longtime favorite of mine that I just don't get to visit as often as I'd like, I must say I am hopping with anticipation. Serving meals since 1921, Boyetts is truly the taste of this town. For me, it's the taste of many warm Saturday summer nights and Sunday lunches after church. The food here has always been an important part of my family and many families like mine. But more than that, to the very fabric of this community. Let's just start with a good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for the welcome. I'm delighted to be here. I truly am. This is a place that I've been coming to since I was a kid, that my parents have been coming to since they were kids. I really would like to just start with the history of this place.
Okay. Boyetts was started in 1921 by Nanny Boyett, and it had several owners through history, but our family, my mother and daddy, bought it in the early 60s. It's strictly me and my sister, and she's got 2 boys and I've got 1 boy.
What does Boyetts mean for this area?
Well, one thing, we're a pretty good employer, pretty good payroll of 20-something people, plus the fact that we're tourism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're a tourism area, which is good for Tiptonville.
Just tell me about the food.
Well, we specialize in catfish, of course, country ham, and fried chicken, but we do a lot of frog legs. People really like the frog legs and the quail. It's just Reelfoot Lake traditional food. I don't know of anything that I'd want to change. Now, we try to add a few things to the menu that's different, like the blackened fish and things like that. We've tried new things, but that's not what they come for.
Right.
They come for the fish, ham, and chicken.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you
so
for
much.
coming.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I just had an awesome conversation with your mom and Jan. Tell me a little bit about the story and the history that's brought you standing here.
When I was young, sitting around on the couch, they get busy.
Yeah.
And my grandfather called and saying, we need you to come up here and buzz tables. After graduating high school,
Yeah.
going to work full time, I knew what I was going to do. It'd be hard to see me doing anything different. A lot of our main employees, they're family. It's not just a job. It's not just a paycheck. They take it personal. This is our frog legs. This is how we do them here at the restaurant.
Golly, those are big.
The biggest you can get. You get them out of the water, bread them,
Okay.
1 coating, then we take them, stick them back in the water, make that bread a little bit thicker. Just got a few spices in there. It's basically plain flour. That ought to be good enough right there. We'll
Okay.
put these on.
All right.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Just take them, drop them in there. It's going to probably take about 10, 12 minutes on those. I say 10 or 12 minutes. We don't go by time. We don't.
Yeah.
We just-
Eyeball it.
We eyeball it.
For people who've never had frog legs, you said tastes like chicken. That's the joke. People.
Basically, it kind of does taste like chicken.
Okay, yeah.
It's got a little bit more. It's got a little in between fish and chicken. But it's a clean taste.
So go out and get you a pair. Don't be scared of frog legs.
After they come to the top and float for a little while, we'll know when they're ready.
Making it easy for you. Onion ring time.
And there we go.
One of my favorites.
Those were cut by hand.
Hand cut. The onions come in 50-pound bags.
50-pound bags, and we'll go through about between 8 and 10 a week. So you're looking at 400 to 500 pounds. We make our batter.
Okay.
It's basically a pancake batter. We just take our onions, we slice them up, and what we'll do is we'll take them, submerge them in and you just kind of shake off some of it, and you just drop them in one at a time.
Are these Vidalia onions?
No, they're just a jumbo, they're just a yellow onion.
And one at a time?
Yeah, you can take and just kind of drop them one at a time. Oh, you got it.
Yeah. Onion rings, onion rings.
Just kind of, we do it like this.
Ah.
That kind of breaks them apart. And flip them over a couple times. And these bad boys are about done.
Boy, that didn't take long.
No.
Yeah. You guys do country ham too, right?
Right.
Can you show me a little bit of that too?
We can do that.
Okay, all right, awesome. Tell me about the ham skillet.
This ham skillet has had a lot of ham cooked through it. And that's the only way we cook our ham. And it is cooked in pure lard. Depending on how busy we are, that skillet may not get cleaned out for a day or so.
Right.
Because all that in the bottom,
Good stuff.
the good
we'll
stuff.
call it. Yep.
We take that and we'll just add water to it and boil it. And that's what we make our red eye gravy. We just take our ham and we'll drop it
down in there. And I mean, when we say ham,
It's
right.
Tennessee country ham.
Tennessee country ham.
It is. And we'll
Okay.
just turn our ham like that.
Now you eyeball this too?
We eyeball this too. When the fat around it kind of gets brown, because you don't want to overcook this, because I'm gonna let you do the honors.
Okay. So I'm ready to take our plates and our hard work and go enjoy some of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You gonna have some, or is this all mine?
It's all yours.
The shallow water here at Reelfoot Lake has taught me that even in the places we think we know the best, there's always something new to discover. The frolic was not always a source of merriment for our family. If we weren't all getting along, those 27 feet got really small really fast. But what it did was force us to work it out by pushing us together. And really, in the end, it helped show us what it means to be a family. I am still very close to my mom, dad, and sister, and I'd like to think that the frolic and the time we spent at this lake helped play a part in that. Over the years, I've seen a lot here at Reelfoot Lake, but in many ways, I feel like I'm seeing much of it for the first time. Now I've just got to go out and find an old picnic table, some wire hangers, and a level spot by the shoreline. I think about 27 feet will do.